buy these powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards before they skyrocket in price. The last time I made this video, we were right about so many different things. Deck Lockdown, Threatening Roar, Enigmaster, Packbit is just to name a few cards that if you guys picked up, you up in the moolah right now. Today, I'm gonna be breaking down some more powerful Yu-Gi-Oh cards that you should be picking up and why. But of course, if you are a part of the Patreon gang, as a special thank you for paying my editors, you could have found out this information sooner. Or if you just caught your boy on stream. And for the faithful people that want to support the channel but don't necessarily got the moolah, anytime you use TCG Player, use my link. It definitely helps me, but let's go ahead and jump on in. There are some really cool cards that you should be looking into, and let's start off with the very first card that I think you guys should be picking up. Its name is Destructive Drama Karma Cannon. This card flips all monsters on the field face down, and if the monsters can't be flipped face down, they are sent to the graveyard. This pretty much means that if a card is unaffected by a trap effect, then Drama Cannon forces your opponent to send it to the graveyard anyways. I have noticed an uptick in players playing this card, and it's simply because it's really good. With cards like Baron and Borreload Savage Dragon being banned, there's less ways to be able to stop that. But also, there's even more Link monsters in the game that this card can immediately get rid of. Buy Testina cards before they skyrocket in price. Pedro, nobody's falling for your scam.
You're a fake and a fraud.
Chimera cards, pick them all up before Whitewood start clapping everybody. I actually don't think that that's a bad idea, Berserker. The Chimera cards are ridiculously good, and this for multiple reasons. First, Chimera is a strategy that is completely under the radar. Not a lot of people are paying attention to it, but it did get new support that we'll talk about very soon that makes the deck incredibly strong. But second, even if you aren't playing Chimera, the cool thing about the strategy is that the cards still work outside of the deck. Take, for example, Chimera the Phantom Beast. This card can special summon an illusion, beast, or fiend monster from your graveyard to the side of the field. It's easy to send to the graveyard with cards like Ultimate Slayer, or maybe even the Deer Servant, possibly even a Dogmatica Punishment. So if you know a strategy that can use any of those, the card is amazing. Build your own board in Skill Drain Tempai. What are you talking about?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Whitewoods being an illusion monsters with Synchros and Chimera has a ton of fun things it can do from the last few sets. And you can cheat out Diabels since she's an illusion. Holy, you guys are thinking big brain. Chimera the Phantom Beast has already been bought out before, but that was when players thought that Chimera is going to be a top tier strategy. I'm not saying that Chimera has no chance of being a top tier strategy. I'm saying that since it is part of a new type that's only getting more support, it would be foolish not even to consider having these cards in your arsenal. But that brings me to the next card that we should have been talking about. Apprentice Nightmare. Apprentice Nightmare is also a really good card. Like most illusion monsters, she can't be destroyed by battle and she can't destroy other monsters, but her biggest ability is that you can summon her by discarding one card, and anytime she's summoned, she adds any illusion monster from your deck to your hand. She's essentially a reinforcement of the army for a type that's still getting more members. Now, it's gonna be hard to justify Apprentice Nightmare at $28, but I promise you, if you don't get this card now, the odds of the card going up to where it's ridiculous, maybe Whitewoods uses it because it does play illusion cards, is going to be almost guaranteed. What is up? I just ordered my remaining cards to finish my Trap Tricks deck. I am not associated with this person. As you can see, I'm not associated with this person. Grades of the Super Ancient Organism goes up and down depending on the format. Link monsters are going to be a little bit more played, but Grave of the Super Ancient Organisms can still shut down powerful cards like the Branded strategy. Or if you're playing against Lightsworn, monsters like Judgment Dragon. Now for some meta trends, I've actually been noticing players play Magical Spring a little bit more. Magical Spring allows you to be able to draw cards up to the number of continuous spell and trap cards your opponent controls, and then you discard cards from your hand. Historically, Magical Spring has been used for multiple purposes, not to only gain cards to your hand, but to prevent your opponent from destroying it. But with the influx of decks that play multiple spell and trap cards on their side of the field for Magical Spring to take advantage of, it's essentially a max C at home. Tempai Dragon Pedra? A little bit of a story, guys. We opened 4 boxes. I got 4 copies of Tempai Dragon Pedra. I got rid of them at Sneak. I practically gave them away, guys. Tempai Dragon Pedras at that time, didn't even know it, were about $15. Now they're approaching the $20 range. Hypothetically, if Tenpai Dragon does become a tier 0 deck, I could see it a little bit higher. Swords of Revealing Light, what battle? Please, please, my brother, please tell me you are not buying Swords of Revealing Light to stop Tenpai Dragon. It's funny because it can work. Do not recommend, but it's funny. Chat, imagine. Your opponent's playing a high-level Tenpai Dragon deck, and you're playing your Dark Magician deck, and you activate Swords of Revealing Light, and they literally do not attack for 3 turns. Buy Kaijus for sure. Tenpai Dragon has a problem when you send their monsters for summon effect. You won't have a turn. You'll be dead by then. The Shiny Sarcophagus deck has a lot of potential, and they get new cards that will push them a lot further. They can use a lot of hand traps that includes D-Shifter. Are we Sarcophagus coping already, guys? Legacy of Destruction has been out for a week. I don't think that it's a bad idea to pick up the Sarcophagus cards if you are incredibly invested. We just seen Gandora G, the Dragon of Destruction, go all the way up in price from a $3 card. But if you're thinking that Sarcophagus is gonna be the next big thing, I got some coke to sell you. Regardless, Shiny Sarcophagus and Gandora G Dragon are probably going to be your best bets. The ultra rares should be incredibly cheap too. Western Yu-Gi-Oh markets are speculative AF, overpriced as heck. I ain't gonna lie, guys. If you got access to somebody in Europe, you can get a Gandora G Dragon for like $2. So do with that information you will. But I do know another card that you guys should be getting inside of Legacy of Destruction, and no one's paying attention. Garudas, the final bringer of the end time. Garudas, the final bringer of times, is literally Baron de Fleur. The only problem is that just like when Baron de Fleur came out, not easy to summon. It requires 2 level 10 monsters, and we know most decks ain't got time for that. Garudas will be a very good Yu-Gi-Oh card. Will it be on Baron's level? Probably not. But there's going to be a rank 10 deck that will come out that will use this as a part of their inboard. And when that happens, you are going to want this particular card. Keep in mind, while we do have Infinite Forbidden, the next set after, which is Abyss something, has not been announced and none of the cards have been released yet. So that means that there could be a rank 10 archetype right around the corner. At $16 a copy, you better invest into this. There's also another card that I think is ridiculously good too. A lot of players have been playing Infinite Impermanence, Effect Veiler, and Ghost Runner. Those are their go-to negation cards. Also, keep in mind, there's a good amount of cards in the game that target. That means that Saravis, the Ancient and Ascendant, is probably at its best right now. Being able to prevent your opponent from targeting your monsters is amazing. Saravis is incredibly good because it can be used offensively and defensively. When your opponent is targeting your cards to be able to prevent you from comboing. Saravis. If your opponent is using a card that stops one of your monsters that's getting rid of your opponent cards and it targets. Saravis. It is the perfect offensive and defensive Yu-Gi-Oh card in a format where there's a lot of targeting. And the best part, the secret rares and the ultra rares are really easy to get, despite it being played inside of a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh deck. Kara also might shoot up in price. Bro! Berserker, you ain't lying. I think Kara is phenomenal. It always feels good when you're going against a player and they're using their monster effects and stuff, and you just slam down a Kara, tribute their whole board, and control the game. It's cool. I will watch out for a potential reprint because it was Power of the Elements. But getting the ultimate rare copies or the Starlights, you can't go wrong. Let's break down some hypotheticals. If Kara gets reprinted inside of the rarity set, does not matter. You got Starlights. Those don't get printed inside of rarity. You got Ultimates. Those aren't the same Ultimates. You're still cooking. On top of that, you are 100% right. Kara looks his best as Ultimate. I don't care what you say. I will fight you guys. Another card I want to give you guys stonks on is Bloom, the Harmonist of Melodious. As you guys already know, Melodious is a fairly cheap deck until first solo movement got bought out. So players are probably looking for the next best card. And Bloom just so happens to come out in Dual Overload, where cards like Relinquished Anima came out. You know where I'm going here. I think Dual Power and Dual Overload are probably some of the best sets to give us really good Link monsters for their particular archetype. Bloom is an incredible card that is only having one printing inside of a set that people may not have never had access to. It is an easy card that you guys should have, especially if you're trying to play Melodious or if you're looking for something to flip. And that's all that I got for the cards that you should buy before it skyrockets in price. Of course, if you guys have some other cards that you think people should be looking into, Go ahead and let us know down below. As always, I hope you're having an amazing day, and you can catch me on the next video.